welcome to the No Stand Zone podcast. My name is Tiae. Good to have you guys here again. Another wonderful Monday, wherever you're listening to this from around the world. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a minute. I've been out for a week or so, like 2 weeks now, because last week was just really eventful. I was so down. I just couldn't come to the mic. For you who have been here a long time, or you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know I don't like missing any of those in-betweens, because a lot happens in the industry and around the Nigerian music industry, and just around the African music industry every single week. That once you're out, is like so many things happen, and when you're trying to get back, trying to put everything together, looks like a lot. But I'm going to try to cover as many things as possible. And I always have things I'm thinking about all throughout the week and all of that. So I always have topics and things I want to talk about, things that catch my attention, and things that I have opinions about or solutions to, or kind of pointing out things that are wrong here and there. Right. So, I'm that kind of person. My brain is always working. Don't I would say, let's not be worried. I have a lot that we can pick around today, next week, and things happen. So I would cover as many things as possible. This mic here is trying to shame me today, but you will not succeed. Okay, here we go. We're back. All right. Thank you very much for keeping it real with me. Thank you for all the messages, for every one of you out there reaching out to me asking, hey, what was the episode last week? What's happening? I didn't, nothing dropped. See, so you do okay, everything did. I mean, you don't come out. No, I'm still here, live and direct. I just was very, very down last week, man. It was just really difficult. I could barely speak into a mic, right? My voice was very harsh. I was coughing and sneezing every 30 seconds to a minute. So it was just a mess. It's been a very, very stressful week as well for me. I mean, just personally, and things happening around the world and things happening around me that have nothing to do with music, by the way. But it's just been a very, very interesting week. But I'm just really, really glad that I can be here again this week to just talk about some of the biggest happenings around the Nigerian music industry. And I'm sure some of you, you're smiling and nodding your head like, yeah, you know what? You kind of have an idea of the things that get me really passionate. If you've been listening to this podcast long enough, the things that just piss me off and that kind of triggers me every time I see it on the specific certain topics or news come out on the internet, gets so triggered. And one of them that triggers me every single time it happens. Yeah, it happened this week. It's that time of the year again. Yes, the Grammys, the nominations are out. I spoke about it a few weeks ago. We're going to talk about that later on in the show as well. So stay tuned for that. And we're also going to be talking about what kind of some of the things that I've spoken about in the past. I'm going to be digging into some of the solutions to some of the things that I've pointed out. Some of the problems I pointed out around award shows and our own and all of that, all of that fun stuff. We'll be talking about that also later on in the show. So you want to stay tuned for that one. Stay tuned for that one as well. So, but let's start with my favorite things I always love to talk about. My favorite things to talk about: new music, especially those from either new artists and all of that. So where do we start from? Let's start with this lady. I don't think I've spoken about her on the pod yet, but if you follow me on social media, on Twitter especially, at Tiae Sound, Tiae Sound, that's TIAESOUND on Twitter. You can also follow at No Stand Pod on Twitter. And while you're on the socials, know that we're also on YouTube as well. It's the No Stand Zone with Tiae on YouTube. Just like that, you see the videos that we've posted that I've personally put out there. There's so much. If you're just tuning in, that is a really good way to kind of slowly kind of catch up to some of the things I've spoken about in the past. They're like in bits of chunks, like 6 minutes, 10 minutes, that you can just quickly listen to while you're on the go. All right. So if you follow me on social media, you probably have seen my tweet about this particular lady. Her name is Tyra Chantey. Tyra Chantey. Now, my goodness, I have been following her career for the past 3 years. Now, I've known this girl for a minute now, and I think I just wasn't paying attention anymore up until she released this song recent, like a few like 2 weeks ago. Let me see when she released this song. That October 25th. I was going to talk about it last week, right? Because I actually tweeted about this already. And she released the song, and I heard this song, and it just hit me like it was like someone slapped my face with some good music. I don't know. It's like pain and sweetness at the same time. It's like, damn, I've forgotten. Because I was like, I know this name, and then I go back. I figured out that I'd liked a couple of her songs that she released a few years ago. That's 2 years ago now. That was the last time she released music. 2 years ago. And she's one of those people. I heard it, and at that time, 2 years ago, it was 2022. Just like, we're just coming out of the pandemic. Then I didn't really, I didn't really look forward to anything else. I was like, oh, nice music. There was no album or anything out at the time, so I was like, well, I'll just take what I get. But this is really, really good music, right? But then she has this new song out titled Confidence, and honestly, I also forgot that she's not Nigerian. I heard this song. I was like, wait, this lady, I know her from somewhere. And I was thinking, the accent and the way she breaks down this Afrobeats thing, like the way she sings is her tone. You cannot tell that she's not Nigerian. It's like she is the typical typical extraordinary pop Afrobeat artist of the moment. And I was just smiling, and I just went straight into figuring out like what she's been up to next, like what is happening with her. And it looks like she's back now, because I saw a post that she put out on Instagram saying it's been 2 years, but she's glad to be back now. And she is coming back, I think, at a very interesting time here, where there is attention, especially on female artists that are that are giving us the Afrobeats. I mean, there are folks like Ira Star, there's Tyler, and then I'm looking, and then she is also of the same stature, the same skin tone as well, the same. She can also dance as well. So I'm looking at it like somebody probably should be looking at her. And I wouldn't say, if I were to make the comparison, if I should even do that, I would say I'm looking at her giving, like, she is the one I think would give Tyler, and her name is Tyler, she's the one that can give Tyler a run for money at the moment, because she is on another level, just as a performer, as an artist right now, that I just admire everything she's doing. I just saw she won an award, the VMAs also this weekend, and I was looking at her performance at the VMAs as well. I'm like, this is another level, right? So I'm looking at her and I'm like, yeah, she can easily compete with the best of the best in the pop scene right now. I am so excited for Tyra Chantey. She's from Uganda. She's an incredible songwriter as well. This song has been on repeat for me for the past 2 weeks. Like, I haven't really listened to a lot of new music. I'm kind of catching up on everything that has come out in the past week or so. You guys, because kind of been down. I love listening to new music. And so I'm just trying to catch up, and hers has just kind of kept me in a chokehold, where I'm just listening to this song Confidence over and over again. She is an incredible songwriter. I can see the growth as well for her from like 2 years ago. She's got an incredible voice. She is gonna give these ladies a run for their money. I'm hoping she gets as many eyes on her as possible. I mean, for a lady this talented, I doubt that she will be in the shadows any longer. I doubt she's gonna be there for a long time. Right. The thing is, today, there's so many people involved in this music industry, talent still finds a way of shining, of singling itself out, even in the midst of all the, volume of music that we get, especially in the Nigerian music industry. And right now, there aren't many female pop singers in the industry. Like Afrobeats, there are many credible pop singers today, right, that we can point to compared to how many male Afrobeat artists are out there. There aren't many female. So if you have someone like her who is really, really talented and looks like she can put in the work for sure. I look at some of the videos that she's putting out. I'm like, I can see here and there of someone who really wants to take this seriously. Well, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what her future looks like in the next year or two. And I can tell you, folks should not come out and telling me this is another industry plant or something. I will be here to defend her because this lady is really, really talented. This song, Confidence, it's absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliantly produced as well. You guys should go check her out. The whole discography it is wonderful. Her name is Tyra Chantey, Chantey. She's got a song titled Transits as well. It's like she glides between that pop and R&B as well. So I'm really, really, really excited for what her future would look like. Really talented lady, incredible songwriter. I checked and I said that she's writing her songs herself. I mean, if you're able to do that in today's world and you can do it brilliantly, you save yourself a lot of money and people. Like, if you know how to write good music, man, you're saving yourself a lot of money and a lot of headache. Like, you don't have to rely and wait until things get cleared and all of that. You can make your music and you're good to go. So Chantey, with a song titled Confidence, is on repeat right now for me. One of the best songs I have heard this year, for sure. One of the best songs I've heard this year. And she is not even Nigerian. She is not Nigerian. And can I even just let me talk about? Okay, let me go through this new music because. And then I will dive into this because all the new music that I've got today are by female artists. So we'll talk about it once I go through the new music that I've got for you today. Another artist that I really, really do like that's got new music out right now, her name is Elaine. I talk about her whenever I'm talking about R&B on the continent. She holds it down flawlessly. She's got a new song out titled Reasons. If you're a big fan of R&B, she doesn't miss on this one. There isn't the song is titled Rumors. I was looking at something else. The song is titled Rumors. I mean, she doesn't miss. And then it looks like Nigerian ladies, or I cannot get a proper R&B really from so many people in the industry. Most of the people that I admire when it comes to R&B who are really holding it down, like to the core of what the genre is all about, they're outside of the country, they are in other parts of the continent. I'm talking about the African continent. So shout out to Elaine, who's holding it down as well. Another artist that I've spoken about her a few weeks ago. Her name is Nana Fofie. The song is titled Can't Hide. One of the ladies out there that I totally admire and I'm watching as well right now. R&B singer of Ghanaian descent. She is not missing. It looks like an album or something is coming up again. She just released an EP or something last year, or was it early this year? Yeah, I posted about it. So it's interesting. She's coming out again with new music. She just wants to be in the conversation. So I admire that. Shout out to Nana Fofie holding it down. Another female artist from outside of Nigeria who's holding it down with this, with the R&B. So the last one, when it comes to talking about new music, I want to talk about this week is Fave. So Fave is she's a Nigerian artist. She's been in the industry for a minute now. And she has this EP out, 7 songs titled Dirty Love. I'm trying to go back, trying to go way back. The time she first released a single that, kind of caught everyone's attention was in 2019. She's relatively, I can't say she's new now, 5 years in the industry. So relatively new, but she's been kind of like in and out, not dominant, right? She hasn't given us enough, right? But she had this song from 2019 titled Moms, MOMMS, that I really, really like. She comes with something different, had all of our attentions. She released a couple of singles, Baby Rhythm. She also had an EP, Rhythm 5 from 2022, that had Baby Rhythm that I really liked as well. Mr. Man, one of the songs that I like. But it's like since then, it's been more of her being on features with other people, sort of. None of the songs she actually put out, I would say, got me, kind of caught my attention. I would say the only one that did would be this one she had with Simi from 2022 as well, titled Loyal. I think that's the only one, but she has been with other artists like Sounds, the boy Miles, and then the one we all really, really know that kind of popped last year is the song with her song with Davido on the song titled Kante. That one caught everyone's attention, right? So let me dive into, I just wanted to give, for those who haven't heard about her before, I just wanted to give you a kind of a background of who she is. So she's been recognized in the industry as one of the people to watch out for. I think she was on a Spotify list of something a few years ago, like artists to watch out for, something like that, especially female artists to watch out for a while back, right? So she is one of those people we know in the industry. But outside of, for me personally, her songs from 2022, from that EP Reading 5, there is nothing that has really and to be honest with you, I kind of even wasn't paying attention to her, because it's like I personally didn't notice any growth for me that I will say, okay, and from who you were in 2019 and 2022, nothing for me to look forward to. And so when I heard of the announcement of the album, I actually would not have listened to this as well. It wasn't in my peripheral vision or something like that, right? It wasn't in my plan to listen to it, because I was like, what is she gonna give to me, right? I'd also heard one of the singles she released. I just wasn't excited, right, about what she was gonna deliver on this EP. But let me tell you something. You see, I, for one, can be honest about when I have zero to no expectations from people. And if it changes, I am man enough to come out and say, okay, it was low expectation, but this was way out there. I have to say, this EP is splendid. This EP is splendid. Absolutely splendid. I wasn't expecting what I heard on this project at all. I heard a lot of, the one thing that stood out to me is a lot of growth, especially what she does with her vocals. She sounds a certain way. And that's what makes, like, you can know when it's Fave from a mile away. And for me, I've always felt like I'm tired of that sound, like you not working it and being dynamic with the sound has always been kind of like my criticism of her over the years after, her coming in 2019. But this album, it's like a lot of growth. A lot of self-reflection was done before the release of this project, right? A lot of creativity as well I hear on this project. And some of the songs on this project, on this EP titled Dirty Love, some of these songs, I wouldn't even call them tracks. I will call them records. There's this thing the Grammys do when they say like record of the year kind of thing, where you're kind of paying attention to the overall music, right? And most of these tracks, I'm looking at them as records in the sense that it wasn't just the beat and her singing. It was a lot of her working, going back and forth with like the texture and the way she sings. I don't know how to describe it to you guys other than that. But there was obviously something different about this, about her delivery on this project. Let me also give a big shout out to whoever, and not whoever, all the people she collaborated with on the back end, because those guys did a splendid job as well, in giving the album a sonic flavor. Right? There are times where, as an engineer, you can just allow, sing, the artist delivers, and you just, work on it, make it sound good. But there's some times where you understand the assignment, and then you give it such a flavor where it kind of gives the song, the vocals, some sort of life, something different. Right? That was what I got on this album. I was so impressed by everything she delivered on this project. From the very first song, Dirty Love Song, I was blown away, especially by the work done by the folks on the back end. My goodness, I was really, really impressed by it. I wasn't expecting to really like the work that was put into this project. Now, they're just 7 songs. But I will tell you that my favorite part is the first half of this project. The first 4 songs kind of did it for me. The first 4 songs, splendid, right? The next 3, not really there, but you see this first four, Dirty Love Song, Complicated, Controller, Juju. My goodness, that is an incredible run. I would say to you, Fave, you caught me on unprepared. I wasn't prepared for what I got on this project. I'm really impressed by the work you put in here, and I'm waiting to hear her speak more about this project as well, because I know for sure, I can hear it clearly, a lot of growth, a lot of maturity. Yes, that's the word as well. A lot of maturity, and just her ability to wield her vocals and knowing how to use it to keep the listener captivated and kind of in the music from the beginning to the end. I love the melodies as well, that some of the, she put in some of the songs, and some of these songs I cannot remember which one now. I think it's Complicated. Is it Complicated? Let me see. I think it's Controller. Let me see. Yeah, Controller. This is one of the ones I really like on this project as well. Controller has this incredible melody that she worked, that the melody and the cadence on part of this song really made me like it. And the thing is, this album could have been so what's the word? Like lukewarm. But just the maturity, the flavor, there was so much dynamics and creativity, I would say, put into this project that just makes it stand out for me. I really, really did like this project. Shout out to you, Fave. I wasn't expecting much, but I'm really, really impressed. The only thing, if I was to be extra critical, would be that some of the songwriting, I would say, was maybe a little lazy. For example, this song Juju shouldn't have been named Juju at all, right? You could have called it let me see, I think, what's the name? I'm trying to let me see. Let's see. Yeah, but yeah, for example, this song could have been titled Old School. Yeah, I'm just trying to look at it. This song could have been titled Old School. The reason why is this. And this is me being kind of overly critical. Like, this Juju, I will say, is the only one that was kind of lazy in the songwriting for me. Could have been better. Naming it Juju just, I think it took away from everything that had been coming from the very first song up until now. It had this perfect blend of the songwriting and the Afro beats and a little dash of Western pop sounds and all of that. was going well, and it was, I mean, she delivered it well. And so when it got to this juju, it was like a cut. It was like the thing was flowing, and then just all of a sudden just cut that off. That was what I felt, kind of what I felt like it sounded like to me. But overall, this was an incredible project. I really did like it. This is a project that she should be proud of. A lot of growth, a lot of creativity, a lot of maturity. Great job on the back end with all the folks that she collaborated with. This wasn't just about giving her the beat or working on a song. This was on a set of people who kind of understood the assignment here. Everyone involved in putting this project together, I will give a big shout out to you guys. All of you should be proud of the work put into this project. It's gonna be interesting to see, what happens after. It's a different thing. I mean, it's in the end, at the end of the day, it's still an industry, right? You still need to do what you have to do to get your music out there, get known, and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how she's able to achieve that. Now, I was looking at what record label, or if any, if she's under, but I don't see anything here. Because this was one of the first things I checked, because I was like, she shouldn't have been out of the music scene for as long as she did. So I'm looking here, she's gonna be on tour next year. Yeah, so it looks like that's what she's doing on the back end. She's gonna be in Dublin in February, London, Berlin, New York, all of that in February. So congratulations to you, man. Congratulations to you, Fave. I really did like this project. Incredible job. Yeah, and good luck with everything you that you have planned out. And now let me get to the thing I wanted to talk about with the female artists. And I think and one thing, what I wanted to mention earlier was, I'm noticing that there is an emerging, will I say, a lot of artists that are not necessarily Nigerian, but they're emerging from other parts of the continent, but are able to deliver on the Afrobeat sound, right? They're also big. Let me start with the Afrobeat sound. I don't think I've mentioned, I probably have mentioned her name here. Her name is Azawi. She released this project from last year, and I said it's one of the best. And I said it's one of the best. What would I say? It's one of the best Afrobeats projects by a female artist that I have heard in a very long time, since maybe what's her name, Iris Star with 19 and Dangerous. She released this album last year, titled let me see, Sankofa. Yeah, she released the album last year titled Sankofa, which was absolutely brilliant. It wasn't talked about a lot, but absolutely incredible Afrobeats album. And it was like she just did it, and she didn't even think about it. She just did it and just moved on, right? And then we also had Tyler also give an incredible R&B Afrobeats album with her self-titled album Tyler. And then now we are having folks like Tyra Chantey, who's not Nigerian as well, but they're actually dropping gems when it comes to this Afrobeat sound. Azawi is she's East African, if I'm not mistaken. Let me quickly get that for you. I'm so sorry. I should have that at the back of my, yeah, she started her music also from Uganda. Look at that. So she's from Uganda. Tyra Chantey is also from Uganda. There is something happening in East Africa or in Uganda, but to have two incredible artists like that be able to produce or deliver on the Afrobeat sound, and this is what I didn't even catch that earlier. So I'm noticing that there is this emergence of artists from outside of Nigeria who are delivering on this Afrobeat sound, and who are also delivering on other genres that Nigerians are not able to capitalize on, like the R&B. Personally, there is right now no female R&B artist that I can say that I can beat my chest on that is solely R&B. Now, there's Tiwa Savage, who does the R&B and pop music. Like, she just gave us the Water and Gary, which I think is the R&B album of the year for Nigeria, right? But I'm talking about an artist like Nana Fofie, who is strictly on that lane and not in between, right? And they're actually there. There's the Nana Fofie, there's Elaine, and I can't remember her name right now. She has a song with Nonso Amadi that I cannot just picture right now. But there are artists that are coming out of the other parts of the continent that are delivering on this, right? And I think there's an expansion happening. It looks very little, right? But I think it's been happening more frequently now for us to pay attention to, or for us to acknowledge that, wait, this is really happening, right? So I just needed to, acknowledge these artists that are kind of outside of like the mainstream that anyone would talk about, who are really actually delivering on, who are doing the hard work. Folks like Azawi, folks like Elaine, folks, Amare, I shouldn't even talk about her because she's like A-list, right? But Nana Fofie, also one of them. So, shout out to all these folks outside of Nigeria who are doing it, and they obviously would not get as much press because it's just the way it is. Even folks who are in Nigeria who are doing the work are not getting as much press because they're not doing the popular the popular genre of music at the moment. All right, so I just needed to mention that to you guys real quick. So let's dive into kind of like the big story of the week. The Grammys released their nominations this week. I'm not going to talk about all the other stuff that don't concern me for this matter. I'm just going to talk about the ones that concern the Nigerian and the African music scene at the moment. So, Best African Music Performance. This is the interesting one. There's Ashakan Wizkid for MMS. There's Burna Boy for Higher. There's Chris Brown with Sensational featuring Davido and Loje. There's Thames with Love Me Jeje, and there's Yami Alade with Tomorrow. Okay, the next one is Best Global Music Performance, right? So there's Angelique Kidjo and Soweto Choir, Sunlight to My Soul. I think the one here, okay, there's no Nigerian featured in this Best Global Music Performance. Let's go to Best Global Music Album. So there's Anthony Ray, there's Ciro Hurtado, there's Matt B, and the Royal Orchestra. There's Rema with His, and there's Thames with Born in the Wild. This one is the one that has me shocked. And Thames with Born in the Wild, I can see how that is the case. I'll talk about her in a minute. But Rema with His, that's the one that kind of shocked me as for nomination for Best Global Music Album. Now, let's be clear here. He is not winning this category because, it would be antithetic, or I don't want to use, it will be anti what the Grammys report so-called stands for. It's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting to see. We're never gonna get any explanation as to how it happened. But this one, I was really, really shocked that he got the nomination for Best Global Music Album. But for Thames, you see here, Thames this album nominated for Born in the Wild, right? But this. And I haven't heard people really talk about this one. The problem, and let me not say the problem. Let me put it this way. Since she got her big break into the American market, right? The conversation has been like, oh, she's nominated for American awards and all of that. Her being nominated in this category tells me one thing and one thing alone. They are trying to bring her back to earth. Like, calm the F down. You are not an American artist. You are still a Nigerian artist. You are still a Nigerian artist. Because you know who is not nominated for Best Global Album? Sabrina Carpenter, who is an American artist. You know who would never be nominated for a global album? Ariana Grande would never be. You know who would never be? You know who else? Beyonce. You know who else would never be nominated for such an award? Ed Sheeran. Do you see what I'm talking? Like, even for people who are in other parts, Becky G, who is not even an American artist, who's a Latin artist, would not be nominated for this category. So for me, all I'm getting with this is they're trying to bring her back to earth with this category. I mean, for her team, I'm not thinking in my mind that they are excited about this nomination for Best Global Music Album after I have been trending in the US for the past year, 2 years. I should be nominated for, probably Best R&B, because I know that is what they're gunning for. Nobody can tell me that they're not gunning for that kind of recognition and nomination. I mean, she was nominated for Best New Artist. So I'm thinking, and I'm sure they're thinking as well that, I mean, we don't enter the American market. Now, they're supposed to nominate us for those kind of categories, right? So I'm sure that's what they were thinking. But this category, in my mind, her being nominated for this tells me they're telling her, come back to earth, know your place. Simple. So all the touring around the US, they're telling you, come back to earth. Come back to square one. This is where you are. And I know, she's not an Afrobeat artist. She's trying to run away from that. And fine. I mean, she's not a pop artist. She's more of, the alternative R&B and all of that. But they're telling her, Auntie, calm down. Now where you belong be this. Now global album category you belong. Because folks like Burna are also trying to get the same look where they're nominated for American categories. Right? But you come back to earth. You're still an African. And the thing is she nominated for, Best African? This is funny. So Best African Music Performance is Love Me Jeje that is there. I mean, here we are. All the moves people keep making. And like I said, when they are trying to get into this American market, you can never be part of that cultural relevance, that part of that cultural circle. You are not. If you have a song with Future, with Drake, if you wear Timbaland and release a hip hop centric or hip hop mixing album, whatever, you are not going to be recognized or taken seriously in that cultural circle. You are still an African making African music in that is what it would always be. So, and I hope most of these artists recognize that when they are making their moves. This was just really interesting to me. I didn't hear anyone talk about it, but I'm shocked, and I'm sure her team is shocked that they submitted for it. I'm sure they submitted for other categories as well. But it's interesting to see that this is the nod that they eventually get. But yeah, it's interesting. So here we are, kind of. We'll all be here to see kind of how all of this kind of pans out moving forward. But I mean, I don't have any ill wishes for anyone. So yeah, Tems has the most nominations of any Nigerian artist. She, the best global music album. I think there's performance as well, best African performance, as well as best R&B song. You see, that nomination for best R&B song is the same. It gives me the same vibes as Burna Boy's nomination for best melodic rap or best rap, whatever, that he got last year. That is basically what that is as well. Her being nominated for that is the same vibes. It's okay, you've worked, let's give you the recognition. That's basically what it is. We just want to recognize you. You have no shot. Your shot at winning that is 0.0000001%. You're not there because you're there because you worked, and we want to acknowledge you. I mean, anyone here that doesn't understand that at this point and how the Grammys work, when you do they kind of lay a couple of steps, you do the steps, well, you get the nomination. The same thing I said with Burna Boy being nominated for that rap category. I say, yeah, that is his label doing the work to make sure he gets nominated there, because he was never going to win. And in that circle of the rap culture, like I said, in that cultural circle, he is irrelevant and will always be and will never be recognized for that. Like, it is what it is. Most people don't, it's hard for most people to just kind of get that. The same way I feel her song Burning recognized in best R&B song. Some people in that cultural circle are mad right now, right? Some people in the circle are mad about that right now. So of all the people that released R&B songs this past year, because I mean, we could go and check the places for best R&B. If her album is not nominated for best R&B album, and you tell me among those nominated for best R&B album, there's none of their songs there, because do I really want to kind of analyze this? But I don't think I really want to go into it, because I'm looking at those who are there for best R&B song, and then I also look at the best R&B best R&B album and best R&B performance. There is no Chris Brown there for best R&B song. Then there's best traditional R&B performance. There is no that Lucky Day song is also not, like, for me, this is just a lot of things are just jumbled together here. That goes back to prove my point that song Burning is in that nomination because they want to recognize her work that she's been doing, either behind, on the back end of what Grammy requires you to do. Anyone that wants to argue that with me right now, I'm like, yeah, that just tells me you're ignorant. You don't know how this shit works. So, yeah, let's another person, one that I'm kind of let's talk a little bit more about this best African music performance real quick. This one, my prediction, if I were to make a prediction on this one, if they give this album this I don't think Chris Brown wins this, because I think they've included a couple of people this year. According to them, they've had a lot more like Africans and people in the African music industry, and it would shock me if the people voting in this particular category have Africans there, and they look at this and think Chris Brown should be given the best African music performance. Not because not because maybe he doesn't maybe worth getting it, but I'm wondering and I'm thinking, how is that going to be received by us, right? The audience. But I mean, the Grammy doesn't give a fuck about what we think, so it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. So for me, I think the big, outside of Chris Brown, I think the I can't even take out Yemi Alade also from this category. I can't take out Yemi Alade because her even being nominated in this category, it's like a big, for me personally, I think it's a big statement from the Grammys that, okay, we recognize someone who probably most people are not expecting in this category, who isn't like the regular names you've been hearing the past 2 years. When we could talk about like African music, most people know all the other names here. Most people that who are just casual listeners of Afrobeats, they know Asake at this point, no Wizkid, no Burna, no Tems, no Davido and Loj. The person most people now, outside of the African conversation, now I'm not talking about within Africa. She's got that lockdown on the eastern part of the continent. See her do a lot of shows there. But I'm talking about those in other parts of the world. They're probably not familiar with Yemi Alade's name, like they do the remaining of every other. Every other person outside of Yemi Alade has a global hit here. From Loj, Davido, Tems, Burna, Asake, Wiz, right? So, I think this one I cannot say because I know the Grammys they do bullshit stuff to make the statement sometimes. It could be Davido because with Sensational because they're trying to make up for last year. It could be Tems because she's their darling at this point. I don't think Burna, I think, with Higher is the one that I think has the least percentage of winning this category. It easily could go to Asake and Wizkid for MMS at this point. But yeah, I don't have a strict prediction here, but those with the highest, I will say the highest percentage to win, I think will be Tems Will Love Me Jeje because it's Tems and the Grammys, and the person with the least possibility of winning this category, I'm looking at Burna Boy with Higher. It could go, yeah. I think that's the highest possibility of winning and the lowest right there. And it could, anything in between is going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But with them giving it to Chris Brown, oh my fed down, but I know they will probably want to, want to shake things up. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So I'm still around this conversation of our award shows and stuff, right? So there was this conversation that happened last week before, and I was going to talk about it last week, right? But things happen, and my body was like, nah, take some time off to rest and all of that. And there's been this conversation on social media around, building arenas in Nigeria and what that would look like. And the conversation has also been around like award shows and all of that happening. And every now and then, it's always about, why don't we build arenas? Why don't we build arenas? Why don't people that have money build arenas? Why don't government get involved? And every time I hear these arenas, why there are no arenas in Nigeria, I just get so triggered because it speaks to a lot of people's, should I say, misinformation or ignorance around just how things work, around how just the business of arenas work. First of all, I think most people don't realize that it is less, maybe 1% of artists around the world actually use arenas for their tours. The arenas that exist around the world, they don't exist just for the few, the 1% of the music, of the global music industry. If you're talking about building an arena in Nigeria, have you thought about that? So let's talk about some of the biggest arenas in the world, big places that have been used that most people know. For example, Wizkid performed at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You guys know it's like that stadium is used every other week throughout in a 12-month calendar. That stadium is used for Three different things. It's used for soccer. It's used for the NFL. That's the American football, the National Football League. They play a couple of games there, and other things as well, like artists showing up, and that is not a daily, or it might happen even maybe once a year. So let's also look at the Allianz Arena in Germany that folks use as well, like the biggest of artists use. It's a football stadium. Madison Square Garden has basketball courts in that place, in that arena. In fact, two professional sports basketball franchises use the MSG. Right? Professional sports use, so they are using it constantly throughout the year. So for people who are talking about arenas, how do you get the revenue to keep the arenas functioning? Now, it cannot be government owned. People that keep saying, oh, government should get involved, it can never be a government thing. It has to be a private sector business. Because if you keep it to the government come and go, the bureaucracy involved in making it profitable, it's just a long thing. So if you were to build an arena in Nigeria, it's for how many artists? Burna Boy is not. How many times is he going to use it in a year? Your big three, how many times are they going to use it in a year? So are you just building an arena just for one or two, just for 2 or 3 artists or 4 artists that are not going to be performing there every single week? How are you going to make your money to keep the arenas working? How do you convince companies to advertise there when hardly anybody is showing up? And that goes back to kind of my solution that I spoke about a few weeks ago on the Afro Critic space. And I mentioned it there that, for example, a city like Nashville, which is like the kind of like the bed for, or the foundation, or where everything comes and goes for country music, has got tons of live performance locations around the city. That is the one that is sustainable in Nigeria. But most people don't want to build that, because the thing is they've rubbish artists that perform in those kind of small locations. So for some, like, that is even the most profitable one. That one, you can be sure that every single week something is happening there. If you have a place that can hold 500, 600 people, that is splendid business. That you can be assured that at least once every week, twice a month, 3 times, 4 times a month, several times a month, artists are showing up. That location can be used for different things. Can be used for reality. What do you this things like The Voice, like TV shows. There are different things that it can be used for, and this there's just this lack of vision, I would say, that people don't have. They just want to get the big thing. There is no growth mindset. They just want to, let's start just performing. Let's just build arenas. Like, who's performing there? How does it serve the industry? If you build a place that takes 10,000, 20,000 people, how does that help the industry? For one arena that you see in these Western countries, there are at least 50 to 100 other smaller locations around. The artists are constantly performing and making money from. And let's be clear, these places were not made for music, like for music performance. They were not made for that. These locations were strictly made for sporting events. So when you see artists perform there for their music thing, it's like makeshift. They just makeshift. Because, you need to bring together large, a lot of people at one time. So I would just like this conversation of people are not building arenas. We need to build arena. Like let's just dead it, because I hear that and I'm just hearing a lot of ignorance around just how this business, how it works. Because we're also focused on it is only the artist that is able to sell out 10,000 that we are looking at. The same, people were clowning Young John a few years ago when we are talking about him going on tour, and folks like, going on tour for what? Like, majority of artists are going on tour around the world, selling out 500, 1,000, week in, week out. That is, even those guys are still privileged. Most artists would never be able to do that. So if you find yourself in a scenario where you're able to gather fans, 500, 1,000, between that, coming to check you out, to listen to you, you're in another like rare population of artists around the world. Because now it's like, because we see Burna able to do that, every other month, we think, oh yeah, it's just easy. And one day we will tell ourselves the truth. With most of these artists, most of our artists are just recycling fans. One day we'll tell ourselves the truth. Well, we are just recycling fans. Because the same people that are showing up for Asake are the same people that are going to Davido's show, are the same people going to Whiskey, are the same people going to Burna Boy shows. It's the same fans. We're recycling our fans. There is no one person fan for all. On social media, it kind of seems like it exists. But when push comes to shove and Burna Boy has a show and needs to sell out the 10,000, the same people who show up for Burna Boy in MSG are going to show up for Asake at the O2. It's the same. They're the same set of fans. Let's start having really honest conversations here. Before you start shitting on, people, if you really want, like, that is what is happening. A lot of people are really not the fans of artists, especially when we're talking about Afrobeats. A lot of people are fans of, they're not the fans of the artist, they are fans of the genre. I can guarantee you, those white Europeans you see showing up at Burna Boy shows, those same white Europeans are going up to show up for Wizkid. Although they're in a very small, it's a very small population percentage of them, because I stand on the ground that majority of the people making Afrobeat work in the diaspora are still Nigerians and Africans, right? Those are the people paying the money. Those are the people dragging the rest of Europe and the Americas and all of that with them. Right? So one day we're going to have that conversation. Your whatever so-called fans only exists on the internet. When push comes to shove, why don't you say, oh, Wizkid fans, don't come to my show? Or you get to the door and ask them, are you a Wizkid fan? The truth of the matter here is, all these artists is the same fans that are showing up for the same artists that are being recycled. It's not like the same in other places where you say, oh, the people showing up for Sabrina Carpenter store are strictly, that is the case. Like the way the industry is set up in other places is different. One day we'll have this conversation, because the way people clown, the way the fans come at each other, like, oh, this artist no sell out here, this person is no sell out here. Like, it's only your fans that are showing out there. It's the same people that are going to this person's show that are showing up to every other person's show. One day, we'll have the truth about, we'll really be honest and kind of talk the truth about, say the truth about what is, kind of what is really going on, and we'll really be honest, kind of be honest with ourselves. But I'm not holding my breath for that to happen, for that to happen anytime soon. But this conversation about arenas and why don't we be in arenas, like, the business of it is not even profitable for Nigeria. If anyone is thinking about something like that, you want to have a place that can hold between 300 to 500 people. That's how you're going to make your money. Because virtually any top artist can sell out such a place, can have 500 people or 300 people show up for them. Right? But, I mean, people, they just want to get there. They just want to, bam, arena, bam, everywhere, shining light, bam, and nobody's thinking about growth. Nobody's thinking about how do we start to get there. It's just, me person just build arena. Like say to build arena like to build arena like say you want build 2-bedroom flat for Ikeja, or you want build 2-bedroom flat for Yano Uru or Yano Paja, like saying our beans. But I mean, it's crazy. But thanks, guys. I think that's where we kind of round things off on the show for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here. Please, while you're here, do not forget to follow me on Twitter. Is at Tiae Sound, Tiae Sound as well. It's also the No Stand Pod on Twitter as well. On YouTube, we're at the No Stand Zone Podcast with Tiae on YouTube. Thank you very much. Please do not hesitate to let me know. Some of these conversations I'm having here, I'm not having them on the basis of like absolute will I say truth or on this conversation. I'm always open to hear what you have to say about it. If you have another would I say opinion on any of this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Let's have the conversation. I'm always open to that. I might sound a certain way sometimes, like when I abuse some fans, because I mean, here it's the No Stand Zone podcast. So anyone here giving me that kind of vibe, I'm gonna be be a certain way towards you. But on a more serious note, I want you to know what you think. Do not hesitate to reach out to me. Send a DM. Send me a message on Twitter as well. Let me know what you think. Send me a DM, whether you agree with me with my takes on some of these or not. I just want to hear from you. Let me know what you think about the show as well. If you think there are different ways we can improve on the show, please do not hesitate to reach out to me as well on Twitter. And also, please subscribe on YouTube. As always, please don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Until next week, God willing, until next week, I'm going to be hopefully in perfect health and doing well. We'll see you again. Thanks.